On this video, we will be covering Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Part 2, where we learn how to use our shear tool, and we also learn how to use our reflection tool. So when we get finished with our first section, we will have a project that looks like this. But to get there, we need to go to our File and Open, and then we need to go to our Handout folder, go to Business Handouts, all the way at the bottom. Let's go back. Sorry, guys. So we're going to go to our handout drive, business handouts at the bottom, then Shonifer, computer graphics, Illustrator, and Chapter 4. And we're going to open our file 4-02. So go ahead and open this. And what you'll see is just an initial word of shear. So once that opens, we are going to take our selection tool, select the shear, and then we're going to copy and paste it in front. So you can either do your Control-C or come to Copy, and then to paste in front, we're going to go to Edit and Paste in Front. Then what we're going to do is we're going to change the color of this one to the color called Graphite under our color swatches. So if your swatch panel is not open, go ahead and open it. If it's missing, you can find it under Window. So we have ours open, and we're going to change it to the Graphite color. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click on our Shear tool. So our Shear tool is a hidden tool of our Scale tool. So if we click and hold, you will see your Shear tool, which we are going to select. Then what we're going to do is press and hold our Alt key, and then we are going to click the bottom right anchor of our R. And when we click that once, what should happen is our shear box should open up. We're going to enter in a shear angle of 45 degrees, and then we are going to make sure that our horizontal option is checked and hit OK. Remember, when these dialog boxes pop open, if we want to make an additional copy, we hit Copy. Or if we just want to manipulate the copy we're working on now, we hit OK. And what you should see is now that is at a shear angle from our initial image. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on our Scale tool, which is now hidden with our Shear tool. So we can click on our Scale tool by holding down on the Shear tool or by hitting S on our keyboard. So we're going to go to our Scale tool, and then we're going to press and hold our Alt key, and we're going to click any bottom anchor point or segment on the shear object to set the point of origin for the scale, and then to open up our scale box. So we can click anywhere down here on an anchor, and our scale box is going to open up. We're going to click the non-uniform option box, and then we are going to enter 100 for our horizontal, and then we're going to have 50 for our vertical. Once we do that, again, we're going to hit OK and not copy because we're altering the image that we're on now. So now you'll notice that it looks like maybe it's laid down a little bit more, or it's shorter than what it was before. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take this one and we are going to send it to the back. So we do that by going to Object, Arrange, and Send to the back. So now we are going to apply a 1-point black stroke to our orange shear. So going to our Selection tool, maybe, and then clicking on our shear, coming either up here to our stroke panel, or you can go to your stroke panel on the right side of your screen, but I like to do it from the top. Doing our drop down box, changing it to black, and then making sure that it has that 1-point stroke. Then we're going to deselect everything, and we are done with this image. So we are going to go to File, Save As, and this one is going to be last name, comma, first name, space dash space, and this one is going to be saved as shear. Go ahead and turn this in to your Google Drive, and let's go on to our next project. So our next one, we're going to use the reflection tool, And our final product should look like this. But first we need to open our initial start file, which is going to be under File, Open. And you should still be under that same folder in the handout drive. If you're not, go to your business handouts, Shonifer, Computer Graphics, Illustrator, and Chapter 4. And we are going to open 4-3. Once 4-3 opens, we are going to switch to our selection tool. So we're going to switch to our selection tool, and then we're going to use our zoom tool, or your zoom option down here, to zoom into our top anchor point. I'm going to keep clicking here, and then go to our selection tool and click on our path so that I can find our top anchor point. So go ahead and click on that top anchor point, and then we're going to go to our reflection tool. So our reflection tool is a hidden tool of our rotate tool, so click and hold. Select our reflection tool, and then we're going to hold down our Alt key, so press and hold Alt, and click on this top anchor point. Now our reflection tool is going to open up, but it's going to reflect based from our top anchor point. So we are going to click on the vertical option, and then we're going to click a copy, because we want to reflect the other half of this image. We don't want to alter the current one that we have, so make sure that we hit copy. And now you're going to see the other half to this lovely outline. So now we're going to use our path functions under object so that we can put these two anchor points together from our reflection, and then also join them so that we can close this outline. So we need to go to our direct selection tool, and we're going to click and drag a little box around just the very top point of this image so that we get that one anchor point, or those two that were combined. We're going to go to Object, then go to Path, and we're going to select Average, and then we're going to select both because we want to average them both so that they're connected. And then we're going to go to Object and then Path, and now we are going to join them to try and close that loop. So I want you to do the same thing on the bottom of our image, where you go to your direct selection tool. We're going to click and drag a little box around these two. Go to Object, our Path, and Average. We're going to select both, and then we're going to go to Object, Path, and then Join so that we can join both those points. And now we have completed our reflection project. So go ahead and zoom out to 100% so that we can see our entire image. Use your hand tool if you need to move it down in the image window. Selection tool to deselect. And then we're going to do a File, Save As. Save as last name, comma, first name. Space, dash, space, and reflect. So this is what it should look like, and this is what it should be named, and it needs to be turned into Google Classroom. So now we're going to move on to the last section of Chapter 1, where we need to go to our Open, and open our segment of 4-4. So we're going to learn how to adjust our perspective or distort our perspective. So go ahead and open this file. And we are going to save this one as last name, comma, first name, and distort. So File, Save As, last name, comma, first name, space, dash, space, and distort. So go ahead and save that on your H drive, and I'm going to save it on mine as well. And then we're going to alter our perspective. So the first thing we need to do is open our free transform tool. And your free transform tool can be found over here in your tools bar by either selecting E on your keyboard or clicking on this little guy with the arrow and the box behind it with the anchor points. So we're going to use our free transform tool in a couple ways. So you'll notice if I just click on an anchor point and I click and drag, all it's going to do is change the size of my image. But I want to change the perspective. So let's go ahead and undo that scale. Let's go to our free transform tool, and we're going to click and drag. And it's very important that you start by clicking and dragging. And then you click Control and Shift. And that's going to take it to where only that one anchor point is being moved and altering the perspective. So go ahead and drag that out to the right. and then release your mouse before you release your shift and control. If you release your shift and control first, it will just alter that size of the image again and not the perspective. So I want you to go ahead and undo this particular perspective. And then we're going to do the same thing, except for we want both sides to move out instead of just one side. And the way we do that is by clicking that upper right hand anchor, clicking and starting to drag, but then this time we're going to hold Control, Shift, and Alt at the same time. And now you'll notice as we drag out to the side, both of our sides at the top are going to widen, but our lower part will not. So we're going to release our mouse and then release our keys so that we have that alter perspective. So we always want to release our mouse when we're doing this before our keys. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag our upper left-hand corner straight down. And then while we're dragging, we're going to hold Shift, Control, and Alt at the same time. So we're going to take this left one, start dragging, and then Shift, Control, and Alt. And we're going to drag it up and out so that it looks like the image is coming out towards us. We're going to release our mouse and then release our keys. So now we've altered the perspective of our entire image. So remember, we have to click and start dragging and then hold Shift and Control if we just want one corner to move, and then Shift, Control, and Alt if we want to alter two different perspectives of it. So go ahead and save your work, even though we've already named it. We saved it as last name, first name, distort. Go ahead and save this, turn it into Google Classroom under distort, and then you're going to move on to Chapter 4, Lesson 2.